Hi, welcome back to the American Academy of Optometry's Leadership Podcast. I'm Dr. Alyssa Coyne. Today's topic will be on leading in innovation, developing visionary and strategic thinking. Today's guest is Dr. Jason Jedlicka. Dr. Jedlicka is a clinical professor at the Indiana University School of Optometry, where he also serves as the director of the Cornea and Contact Lens Service. He's also nationally recognized in the specialty contact lens space, where he helped to develop the Zen lens and the Zen RC lens. Dr. Jedlicka, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
So give us a little bit about your background of how did you become interested in leadership?
You know, I think that leading, I've never actually wanted to be a leader. I feel like leadership is something that you have a willingness to do, and you see a need and you're willing to step into that place. Personally, I think the best leaders don't necessarily go into it wanting to lead, but they're willing to, and they see the need and they're willing to do what needs to be done.
There seems to be a common theme as we're working through these different podcasts of a just say yes mentality.
Right.
Where it's not always about you seeking out the opportunities, but you're in the right place at the right time. You're kind of following along in the footsteps of your mentors in certain situations.
Right. I would agree. And I've had great mentors to demonstrate that and by example show that.
Mm-hmm. Off the top of your head, any specific mentors that you can think of that have really helped to guide you along the way?
Of course, I have so many, but as a fourth year optometry student who had no interest in contact lenses whatsoever, but rotated through an office with Bert Dubois, who's a past AOA contact lens section president. And Bert taught me not only how to fit contact lenses, but he taught me how to lead. And Bert did so much for me in the 3 months I worked with him. And whenever I tried to repay him, he just said, just pay it forward, do it for someone else in the next generation. And so he was a great example of how to lead and how to care about people in general.
What wonderful feedback to also see in such a short amount of time of how having a passion and then passing on that passion can help to develop others in that sort of situation. Were there specific traits that you valued as having that as a mentor that you looked up to?
You know, I think for me, the trait I always value, and I don't always live it, but I want to, is humility. I think if you are willing to think of other people first and the greater need and the greater good, and then put yourself into position to do something about it, that takes being willing to do something you're not comfortable with, or maybe you don't feel like you have the best background for it, but you say, you know what, I will do my very best. And I think that starts with being humble.
Using that information from when you were a fourth year as a springboard, how did that help to develop your passion or your interest specifically in contact lenses?
Sure. So, well, initially it didn't because I wanted to do an ocular disease residency when I graduated, but I didn't match, and so I was left to find an alternative. And this is the humility part, right? When life humbles you. And so as it turned out, the school that I graduated from, Pennsylvania College of Optometry.
Fellow alum.
Right. Called up and said, hey, we never matched with a contact lens resident. Would you be interested in doing that instead of a disease? And I said, initially I would have said no, but I was working with Dr. Dubois at the time. And I said, yeah. And Joel Silbert, who was my residency coordinator, and Bert were friends. And so Bert put in a good word for me, and I got to spend the next year under Dr. Silbert's tutelage, which was, again, one of my great mentors, someone who really cared about me and put a lot, invested a lot into me.
In utilizing that experience and that baseline, how did that also help to develop you into this innovative thought process of helping to develop and helping to improve quality of life for patients?
Yeah, well, Dr. Silbert was, he loved with tough love, but real love. And so I can remember on so many occasions having patients in the chair and I just didn't know what to do for them. And he'd say, go in and try something first and then come talk to me. So he always pushed me out of my comfort zone and made me try it myself first. And then we could talk about it. So from that perspective, he pushed me into, again, I guess getting out of my comfort zone. Beyond that, I found myself fortunate enough to be in places where I could fit specialty lenses, and I always saw patients where they had a great need, but the lenses we had at our disposal just weren't meeting those needs. And so I guess I've always been one to adopt new stuff first. So when things like mini sclerals or sclerals or whatever other types of designs came through the pipe and they were brand new, I was like, I'll figure out how to do that. And so I wanted to be able to offer those to my patients first. And so we took opportunity to learn the new stuff first. And then, of course, when you're always on the cutting edge, you start to develop an interest in, well, maybe I can come up with ideas too that are new and innovative. And so I think the desire to be an early adopter makes you kind of an innovator on your own, because you see new things and then you say, I can do this too. I can help move things forward myself.
Almost asking, why not? Why are we
Yeah,
not
why
doing
not?
this?
Right, exactly. So.
And as part of that, in considering that innovative aspect, you had also talked about having that little bit of discomfort at first of going and trying something, anything. I think that that's also a very good example of a kind of a physical manifestation of sometimes how we feel in certain situations of where you don't know what the outcome is going to be, and getting comfortable in that discomfort and realizing that it's also part of being a leader, part of life, sometimes part of patient care.
Yeah, and although we never want to fail our patients when it's critical, but failing is something you have to do to learn, right? And sometimes you can have a little bit of good luck and good fortune, which I did in some of the early things that I got to do. And it's easy to think that you're really good at this and let it go to your head. And that comes back to the humility part, is realizing then the next thing you do, and it's like, okay, this didn't go as well. This took a lot more work. I thought I was better at this. And so you have some innovation comes pretty easily. Some comes with a lot of hard work and failure. At the end of the day, you realize that there's so much more in effect than just your own ability. It's timing, it's circumstances, it's the people you're around that help all those things.
And if you're going to fail, fail up.
Fail up for sure. Learn from it and do better next time.
And a lot of times you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes, and then turning those failures into successes.
You absolutely do. If you don't, when you have immediate success, again, I don't think you learn that much from that. You think maybe that I'm just really good at this, or maybe, this is easier than I thought it would be, and then you fail and you think, not only did you eventually work out your failure, but you learned new things along the way that changed how you and other people maybe practiced.
Do you also think of utilizing what you've learned in those failures also helps to make you a better leader?
Absolutely. Again, I think it comes back to the humility part, to realize that you're not all that, and that it's not just, you're not some wonderful gift, but it's really through your hard work and your dedication and your desire to do better, more than this idea that you have it naturally. I think most leaders, some people have a lot of charisma. I don't consider myself a very charismatic person. It's through hard work and effort and willingness and humility, I think, is the way I work for leadership, more than having that wonderful natural charisma.
Of course,
So,
and there's all different type of leaders too, associated with that.
Yeah.
Any suggestions or recommendations for either students or young practitioners looking to develop themselves as a leader and or help to develop their leadership style?
Yeah, I think that there are definitely people who would be willing and want opportunities to lead and innovate and just push things forward and make a name for themselves, but in a way that is beneficial to the profession and to the world around them. But so much of that is timing. And so one of the things I'll often tell the contact lens residents when we talk at conferences is you can't force things. You can't force things when they're not ready to happen. And so many people want this career, they want this situation, and the timing isn't there. So prepare yourself. Make yourself so that when that opportunity arises, you are completely ready to step into that opportunity. So that's personal growth development, making sure you're in the right place at the right time, working on your reputation as a hard worker, as someone who's willing to help, and who, not necessarily leadership, but I'm willing to be part of a team. I'll be a helper on this team and show that I'm a hard worker, so that when the opportunity then to come lead is, people trust you to do that. So I think you can work on yourself and prove yourself to be a capable leader even as you're not leading, so that when the opportunity comes, you're ready.
especially from maybe like a fourth year or even a residency timing. I would always previously have said to them, this is an in-person interview every single day, kind of show us what you can do. And then that helps to also develop those relationships and be able to put your best foot forward of having good recommendations from multiple people to help in that growth, especially as you're starting in a new profession.
Yeah, 100% agree. And what's interesting is I took a phone call last week from a fourth year student who just wanted to have a career or some specialization in specialty contact lenses. And he reached out to me and just took a chance and knew somebody who knew me and said, hey, can I just talk to you for a half hour and help? And I thought, that person, in stepping out of their comfort zone and asking to have a little time to learn, made a permanent impact on me. And now, as I know him, I'm going to want to push him forward. And so again, I think that whole idea of don't be afraid to reach out to people or take on opportunities to even if it's not necessarily leadership, but just to demonstrate your willingness. I think that makes a big impact on the people who can then influence your career down the road.
One thing I've learned about optometry is it's a small profession, but people want to help each other. People want others to help succeed, especially the young guns kind of entering into the profession because of the passion everyone has to provide quality care.
Absolutely, and we do want to help each other, and we do need to have, there's nothing more fulfilling than having someone come along who you see the potential and they want it, and you can help them to get there, and then you see them grow into what they've always wanted to be, and to say, I was part of that process. So it's a great impact and a great feeling.
Of course, absolutely. Is there a specific leadership challenge that you faced, and if so, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, I think I've been in situations before where whether I wanted to lead or not, I was in that opportunity. It came up and I was willing to. And I've been like president of organizations or boards where we were facing difficult times. And I'm actually just stepped into the presidency of an organization where we have difficult challenges ahead of us. And a lot of it, I think, is getting engaged with your team, because every leader has a group of people that are there to support them. So you're not alone. And when you try to do it alone, you will fail, right? And so I think, again, leadership is about engaging in all the people that are there to support you, getting them involved, being clear about what our expectations are, and not trying to take on too much yourself, but to enable the good people around you to do the things that they can do, and to work together as a team. So I think helping other people understand how they can contribute to the team and help them be appreciated for what they've done to contribute is really important.
All of those are excellent points. You've given us so much quality information here today, especially about your experiences. A couple of rapid fire questions here to finish us off. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What leader have you looked up to during your career?
Well, I already mentioned Dr. DeBow, great. Dr. Silbert really influenced me as well. So many of my peers, even though they're not like, you wouldn't consider them leaders in a mentorship way, but Christine Sint and Greg Denier have been my colleagues, my peers, and their great achievements have pushed me to try to keep up with them and to try to. So I think that even as you can have mentors, someone who's more experienced, but you can have people on the same wavelength that you can lift each other up and rise together. And so they've been great help in my career as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What are the best ways to lead a team through a significant time of change?
Yeah, again, I think we kind of just talked about this a little bit, but I think it's having a vision, spending time, even as you're with a group of people you're working with and you want to be together as a group and do things as a group, but maybe you need to sit and have one-on-one time with each person so that they know that they're important to the overall mission, so that when you come together as a group, everybody is connected to what you're doing. And so communication, one-on-one time with those people who are really helpful in achieving the mission. As a group, then you come together and you can spend more time not on just everyone talking, but more on let's focus on our action points and what we can do. Let's go back and see what our action points were and how we've accomplished them and feel good about what we've done. and then continue to build on more action points. So I'm more about when we get together as a group, I don't want to chit chat. I want to get action. So let's chit chat one-on-one before we come together as a group, and then we can solve our problems
I
together.
love that point of having action items. Everyone is assigned the action item. You know what you're going to work on.
Absolutely.
So make the time in that meeting
Well,
worth it.
there's nothing worse than being part of a group where you sit through a meeting and you have so much you want to accomplish, and at the end you say, I don't know how I'm going to contribute to this. I don't understand my role. I don't understand how I'm going to help. And so I think making sure everybody who's part of what you're doing as a team has a clear view of this is how I'm going to contribute over the next month or 6 months to our mission, to our goals, so that they actually know what they're doing and don't feel just lost.
Excellent points. If our listeners could change one thing about how they communicate to more effectively lead their teams, what would you recommend?
I would say, again, listen more. You know, it's really easy as a leader to feel like you have to lead the conversation, to push for what you want the person to hear, because you think, well, they're helping me, I'm the leader, you're my support, so I want to make sure you understand me. But at the same time, it's what you want to listen. And you want to find out what they can do to contribute, because you want to put them in the best place possible. And if you don't understand the people on your team and you don't listen to what they can contribute and what their gifts are, you're going to miss the opportunity to put them in the best possible position.
And to finish it off, what would you list as your strongest leadership trait, and how has it helped you in your career?
I would say, again, the fact that you even say this makes you think, is it really? But I feel like humility, because the fact that you say that is like, are you really that humble if you think that's your best trait? But I do think it is, because I think that you want to take the focus off of yourself, okay? So I think, again, good leaders help the people that have gotten them where they are and have moved their mission forward to feel like, you know, you recognize them for how they've contributed, because that will continue to have them help you, and they'll want to lead then. So I think it's being humble, recognizing the impact of your support and how they've actually been the ones who've gotten you where you're going.
That willingness to learn, that there's always room for improvement, that
Always.
there's never reaching the mountaintop as part of that.
Always. And if you think you're at the top, you are farther away from it than you thought you were.
Excellent point. Could have
Yeah.
said it better myself. This has been terrific. Thank you again for your time and your efforts.
My pleasure.
Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss next month's podcast.